Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome back to World of Warships in our intermediate player guide series, where today I'm going to be talking about working an island. Perhaps, you could look at doing this with a battleship, a cruiser, a destroyer, but probably in how this video is going to be set, it's going to be a little more focused on cruiser play, as we're in the Tier 10 heavy cruiser, the USS Salem, the brother to Des Moines, but she packs a super heal, a shorter radar, and we have access to defensive A. We don't have the hydro. So there's a few things a little different here with the Salem over the Des Moines, and I prefer Salem a little bit more just because she can take really massive hits, and you can play a bit more aggressive in Des Moines than you can Salem. So in talking about working an island here in World of Warships, there's two mentalities. Maybe there's three. We're going to be in a bad position. We're not actually, I'm not going to say that. We're not in a bad position. We're going to lose all of our teammates on this flank, leaving us to deal with some enemy ships. And oftentimes you'll see there's a mentality that when you see your flank collapse, you end up, maybe you panic and you run. Right, that's kind of the fight or flight response. The flight tends to win out. And then you have the fight response, which if you can utilize and understand how it works well, you can really make it work to your advantage. Really good here in the game. And then others, perhaps the third mentality is to kind of caught like a deer in the headlights, that you're not sure what you should do. Are you supposed to stay and fight? Are you supposed to run away? So what I want to talk about is utilizing an island. Think of an island as a bodyguard, this immovable object that is for your safety. It's completely there for your safety. It's to protect you. It's to prevent enemy ships from being able to shoot you, get torpedoes on you. Maybe it makes it more difficult for a CV to get airstrikes off on you. You have this barrier between you and a submarine. So islands are your buddies in World of Warships, especially when it comes to when you're in a cruiser. Now, there is a challenge when I say that islands are your buddies, because as the CV just lost all of his planes, a CV can easily dislodge you from working in island position. Here the CV is a tier 8, and we have incredibly strong AA. So I'm marrying up to this island a little bit more because I'm expecting probably some torpedoes to come from that enemy German destroyer perhaps. But that's the big challenge. I wouldn't be able, the one thing that kills what I'm going to show you would be a tier 10 CV, maybe like Midway, FDR, Malta, Maximilian. There are certain aircraft carriers that kill this type of play that I'm going to show you here, in Salem, Des Moines, Minotaur, Colbert, Petropavlovsk. There's just a number of ships, and then they kind of force you into more of a kiting rather than trying to marry the island or work an island, so to speak. But here we can take the advantage over this tier 8 CV. Even though he might get some hits off on us, we can withstand the fire and focus. So with this intermediate player guide video, what I'm going to do in showing you here is we're going to be mindful of how the enemy team is positioning. Z52 gets put out by the enemy Fort Sherman. There's an enemy Des Moines. There's a Marlborough. There's a Preußen. In my mind, we definitely need to get rid of this Des Moines, make life easier for our destroyer players here, get rid of that 10-kilometer, long-lasting, long-duration American radar. So I do want to focus on that. But as things have opened up here, when you're working islands, especially when I'm playing something like Salem, Des Moines, Colbert, Minotaur, Petropavlovsk, what I end up doing is kind of island hopping. So we're hopping from safety to safety, island barrier to island barrier, where we can really set up and be really effective in much more close quarters combat. Especially like here on Salem, where I have top grade gunners. So once we get an enemy ship within our standard tech ability range, we're getting a negative. I think that's the 8% reload time on our main battery guns. So often you're going to be kind of cozied up to the island like we are here. We have a destroyer that's doing some spotting for us, which means we don't have to do our own spotting here. as he's going to take a little bit of attention there from the enemy Poison. So we just sit here and working this position. Now when opportunities allow it, you do want to try to position yourself where you can get all 3 turrets firing. But for here, I don't feel safe enough to do that. Maybe I have to show more broadside, and if a CV flies over, then Poison might be able to Citadel me with his larger main caliber guns. So we're not going to do that. We're going to just kind of stay more battle in. And the big thing with working an island is going to be your WASD key. Now that might sound like simplistic, simple information, but it's actually really important that you're thinking of how do you want to, as the Des Moines detonates our Tashkent, so now we're alone against 3 ships. But you really want to be thinking about how you utilize your propulsion, forward, reverse, and your steering gears. So here we're going to go ahead and be cheeky and stick out. Even though I only have an 8.5 kilometer radar, I can pick up the Des Moines. He's just 7.9 kilometers away at the moment as he reverses away. I know the weakness of a Des Moines, like I know the weakness of my Salem. They both had the same armor layout. And with my 8-inch guns, I can get lucky and get some citadels in on there. And unlike the Des Moines, I can heal a lot more back. So just in that ship comparison, like when you, not only is it, working the island, utilizing your WASD keys well in the positioning of the ship, but it's knowing, having a general understanding of what are the strengths or weaknesses of the enemy ships we're going up against, which I've kind of talked about in other videos. But for now, let's just focus on talking about how I work this island to our advantage. So it's basically a 4v1 here, as we have the Graf Zeppelin who's also chiming in here. And so I know that now I need to kind of go ahead and back off. I'm only being spotted by planes. Nothing else has spotting on me. I don't want to be perfectly broadside to the Graf Zeppelin's planes. We're getting the plane shot down. We are getting plane damage, but we're going to try to do what we can to mitigate our damage. I'm waiting to see, is the CV going away? And once I've okay, he's not going to be able to get another strike off, we can use our damage control party, because I want to go ahead and prevent the fire from burning longer here. We're letting our super heal cool off a little bit. We're going to go ahead and inch forward. Now watch how much I play with the throttle. That's a big thing. Like you watch, even someone I really like watching and utilizing it, whether you like him or not. Flamu is really good at working the propulsion and going forward and reverse. So we're just going to be maybe we inch forward a bit. We go a quarter full, quarter stop, begin reversing. We're just rocking that back and forth. Here we're going to prioritize, make sure we can even the second salvo off, even though Des Moines had less than 100 hit points, to make sure he's out and down for the account. Now, it was this 4v1, now it's a 3v1, but now it's kind of almost like a 3v2, because we have our CV, which I'm pretty sure I complimented him. He's helping us, he's dropping fighters on us. He recognizes this flank, so when I see a good CV player and supporting the team, I do like to shout that out, even though I don't like CVs in general in the game. But the CV player is being really supportive. The other thing you want to be doing is you want to try to isolate your engagements as much as possible. It's important for us to get rid of that Des Moines. We don't want to deal with him. Get rid of the DPM, and now just go up against the Marlborough, which doesn't have a lot of protection. We're able to get some armor piercing there. He's angling back in, so we go up to the superstructure, and then we're going to switch back to the high explosive, because with the 8-inch of our 6 8-inch guns, bow on, we can easily penetrate his bow. So his bow is probably damage saturated, so we're not going to get as much full damage. But we do have a fire ticking in our favor. Poison's pushing in. He's getting his Hydro on us now. So we'll just lift this shot, go into the superstructure, and take him out. Not a big deal to have that fire going, because we're going to have it be able to completely heal. But we go ahead and heal up. We have the Graf Zeppelin. We're going to activate the defensive AAA. We switch to the armor piercing. Poison's kind of coming out, showing us a decent amount of side, as we have improved pin angles with these 8-inch guns. And we're going to let the Poison take a shot at us. And then we're going to duck in behind the island here. So I'm not going to go behind the island and show a full broadside until he fires. We were reversing, and then we accelerate forward. We do have the propulsion mod in the 4th slot. And then we're simply just going to take cover in behind the island. And our CV is still helping us. He's dropping fighters on us. He's being quite nice. Yeah, friendly Yorktown. And then we're just going to ease behind the island here. And there's no other threat that's going to prevent us kill us. You know, we killed that. We dealt with that Des Moines earlier. You know, we've killed the Marlboro. So we're okay to pop out here. There's just enemy ships really far away as the enemy team's kind of falling apart. Here we get to utilize our back turret. So I'm just going to keep easing up forward. Again, watch how much I'm playing with the my propulsion. We were going 3/4, we were going 1/4, we go down to full reverse, inching back up again. And the poison's disengaging. The CV's providing us our spotting as well, but we do have, of course, our radar up now. We can use our ASW airstrike, look over, see what he's doing, and it looks like he's going to turn back north and going up the 10 line. So we're going to inch up a little bit here, and we're going to get our forward main battery guns. Now, we don't need to run away from the island in this kiting angle. Why would we leave our bodyguard? Why would we leave the island that is protecting us when we have between our radar, which is now on cooldown, and the CV doing the spotting? So this poison is going to get a little agitated. They tend to when you're doing this. We need to switch to armor piercing because we're going to get a lot of non-penetrations here if I keep this up. But we're going to just keep our front bow. Sometimes they'll get some overpins on our bow. You know, our citadel doesn't come up insanely far forward. But we're going to switch to the armor piercing here in a minute. I should have switched to it sooner because you see we have over 20 pins and 2 torpedo protection hits, only 7 pins. So that would definitely be a critique on myself here. And when we zoom in, we're utilizing our forward turret. So I need to make sure, like there I wasn't using my free look key. So when you shift in and look, you press the C key. That's the default, going between your rear turret to your forward turrets. And if you just click and hold the right mouse key, then you're able to have you know, this free look, and you go right back to the same turrets that you were already aiming on with your target. So. And you see, we're just reversing behind here. And look at our damage. I haven't talked about this yet. It's already 218,000 damage now. We would likely, with poisons, I think I'm pretty sure poison has the 457 guy, 457s. We would have been Citadel, killed, just kiting, running away. So it's this fight or flight mindset where you really want to try to learn how to embrace working these islands. Des Moines good for it. Salem's good for it. You know, Buffalo. Seattle, some of your light cruisers like Minotaur, you know, you have this additional, like with certain cruisers, that you also have torpedoes, so it's kind of a preventative measure from enemy ships coming around the island on you. Colbert, you know, I don't have it as a range build, I have it close quarters combat Colbert, all DPM build. So there's certain cruisers in the game that you can work an island with very easily. A little more difficult to do the battleship because you don't have the same propulsion, the maneuverability to get around, so that's why kind of working an island kind of connects a little bit more with cruisers, as well as destroyers as well. But one of the perks that destroyers have is that they can simply go dark and disengage if they need to get away from a flank that's collapsing and using their torpedoes right. Or maybe you're a gunboat DD and you want to open up at range as an example. But you are flexible. Even as a destroyer player, you can still work an island and be able to just dump torpedoes if one comes around, but you're kind of having the guarantee that, you know, even if he speed jukes you, that you are going to definitely get him with the torpedoes once an enemy ship commits to coming around an island. So I hope this video has been helpful. It's kind of illustrating working in an island with a cruiser. Like there's a number of cruisers you can do this with in the game. I just kind of listed a couple that just immediately come to my mind that I had this type of playstyle with. But think of islands as safety zones, places of refuge. Again, it would have been much more difficult in this battle because you're always paying attention to matchmaking. What are the enemy ships you're going up against? If there was something like a Max Immelmann, an FDR, a Malta, a Midway, you know, something with dive bombers, that just would have made life, a Nakimov, that would have made life a living hell, like trying to sit behind an island and work an island like that. But when it's a tier 8 CV, and you have a really strong AA cruiser with defensive AA, then it's actually, we can work that and still know that we're going to take some punishment. We're going to lose some hit points from the enemy CV, but it's not going to be enough of a deterrent where we need to flight. We need to run away from the island. Because often what you see is players that, like a cruiser player in this example, rather than feeling safe that they can work that island, they kind of flee, and then you leave your cover, right? And then it's like you kind of have your back to the guy with the gun and you get shot repeatedly because you're not able to go dark. Yorktown might have been able to smoke us up. We could have asked for that, but that would have meant depending on another player. And the general rule of thumb is in World of Warships, in my opinion, is don't rely on your teammates. If they manage to surprise you and impress you, great for them. But you can always rely on an island. Islands are good, right? For the most part, speaking here in the game. So, that being said, I hope you liked today's video. If you did, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you are subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.